Welcome back to Central Valley Talk. I'm the host, Mike Briggs, and the show is business, clothing, all these cool things that we have to worry about all year long. And it is raining here in Fresno, California, and all of Central Valley. People are watching us from all over the Central Valley, and our seasons are about to change, and we got to figure out what we're going to wear. And we've asked an expert to come in, Frank Morganti, the third, by the way, to tell us we're changing from winter to spring and then to summer. Where do we start, Frank?
Well, Mike, thanks for having me on the show again. Greetings from semi-cloudy Minneapolis. You guys have rain, but we have 32-degree temperatures
Oh
here.
my gosh! So it snows there. It gets cold and icy.
Yeah, most of the snow has melted. Most of the ice has melted. We still have a few little pockets. This was, I was telling you before the show, this was like our eighth snowiest winter on record.
Wow.
And even though we started spring technically, about a week or so ago,
Mm-hmm.
and from a meteorological standpoint, the 1st of March, people need to dress year round for things. And this time of the year, much like summer going into fall, you have that what's called transitional period.
Yep.
So as cold as it is today, like earlier today, I was out running some errands and I had, a sport coat, shirt and tie on. I have my top coat with me,
Just in
but I had
case,
it on
yeah.
my arm.
Yeah.
I didn't need to wear it, even though it was like 38 degrees, it wasn't, 38 below feeling.
Yeah.
And so what's kind of nice about the spring and the summer coming up eventually, some parts of the country will get it sooner than we will. Um, you can typically do things that are more casual, but you can also keep it serious minded too, depending upon what one job is. So typically, when you think of the spring and the summer, you think of the lighter colors, the kind of what I would call a little more coarser textured fabrics, such as the linens, the coarser colored cottons, open weave wools, that type of thing. And one of the examples I did today purposely, two colors that come to mind during the spring and the summer, brown and blue can look good on you because
Brown and
they're,
blue
they're,
can look
they're a
good
very
on you.
versatile color. They're a very versatile color scheme in which you can, it's appropriate for the office, but it's appropriate for more casual settings, parties, the Kentucky Derby's coming up.
Yeah.
Now that's where all bets are off. You can do all sorts of colors with that. That's where the seersuckers and the linens and all that type of stuff
Let me
come
ask
out.
you about these coarser fabrics, like you mentioned, the linens and
Yeah,
things like.
so typically a worsted wool
Okay.
or a flannel wool will tend to have a smoother finish.
Okay.
The linen, which is naturally made from the flax plant, it has a coarser weave to it. So like this jacket that I'm wearing today is a mixture of wool and linen. And I don't want to say it feels like sandpaper, but just from looking at it,
A
you
little
can
more
tell it's
coarse,
not
yeah.
a smooth fabric like a worsted navy blue suit would be that you would wear typically in the fall or winter, that type of thing. And then there's another type of wool out there called fresco, which you don't see too often in the United States. It's real big in Italy, especially southern Italy, where they have a much warmer climate. It's a very open weave, and it almost wrinkles like a linen. And that's another thing I want to mention too about these summer weave fabrics. They're meant to drape and be airy.
Okay.
So I always tell my customers when you're wearing tailored clothing, we're looking for Goldilocks. Not too big, and definitely not too tight. But when it comes to the spring summer clothing, because of the higher temperatures and of course the dew point and humidity outside, you want the clothes to be not baggy, but a little looser fitting so they can breathe better. So your
Yeah.
body temperature, doesn't go sky high and you're not going to faint. And what's beautiful about those fabrics um, is they're meant to wrinkle, especially with linen. I've had some customers come in and say, why does this linen wrinkle? And I said, because it's supposed to. It's
Supposed to.
supposed to be
Okay.
casual. It's supposed to be relaxed. Whereas the worsted and the flannel wools, they're meant to be more straight laced and tighter weave to keep the cold air out.
Now,
These type
would
of
you wear
fabrics,
these now, or would you wait till closer to summer to wear them?
So like for instance, this jacket that I'm wearing is a mixture of wool and linen. So this is where you can play with the fabrics. You can do mixed, or as you call it, blended fabrics. So
Okay.
like this jacket is a mixture of linen and wool. My tie happens to be a mixture of silk and cotton.
Okay.
So much like the transitioning of the seasons, you can look for clothing made from material that is of a mixed blend. Now,
Okay.
obviously, when you look at the local forecast, and depending upon where you're going, that's where you, the individual, can make up your mind. Oh, is it going to be windy? Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be breezy? So I would suggest waiting until the warmer time of the
Okay.
spring and the summer to do the more open weave clothing. And this time of the year, more of a
Close.
closed knit clothing, but it doesn't have to be as heavy as it was 3 months ago, because even though the calendar today said March 28th, the temperature was more like January 28th. But because the days are getting longer now in the evening, the sun is setting, at a later time and sitting higher. Our 38-degree temperature today, like I said, was not as cold
Yeah.
as it would have felt 2 months ago. Like I said, I had my top coat with me if I needed it if the wind picked up, but I didn't wear it. And with the cotton shirt, the wool linen sport coat, I was comfortable. And what helped was the lack of wind. That was a big help
Yeah.
too.
Now, let me ask you, you talk about these different natural fibers. I only buy and wear natural fibers. Is it ever okay to wear polyester or rayon or something like
Yeah,
that?
no, it is. But keep in mind, especially during the summer, you're going to want to keep those polyester and rayons more for the fall and winter because those are artificial and they don't breathe like
They'll keep you
natural
warmer, a little
material.
warmer maybe?
And so here's the big misconception. People think, okay, let's say you're going to go to a summer wedding. Okay, let's do the polyester suits. It won't wrinkle.
Yeah.
It'll stand straight.
Yeah.
You're gonna sweat like a senator under indictment wearing that thing if you're doing an outdoor wedding.
Indictment, that's funny. Right.
People think wool hot and itchy.
Right.
Not necessarily. Wool has come a long ways. There are hot and itchy wools out there, but they're for
Yeah.
more fall winter attire
Okay.
like tweed, flannel wool, like I mentioned. A good worsted wool is going to be very lightweight, very breathable, and will drape just as nicely as a polyester pant or coat. But yeah, that's the big misconception. They think microfiber, polyester, whatever you want to call it, is better. It truthfully isn't. Yes, you're going to save some money. The difference could be about $100, but that extra $100 is going to come in handy when you need to breathe, when your body needs to breathe.
Well, I see now, just talking to you for a few minutes, why we need a haberdasher. I was in Macy's this week and a couple other stores. You don't get any of this kind of background talking to them. And that's why a haberdasher is nice to talk to a real live haberdasher. In fact,
Yeah, I work at a local clothing store in St. Paul, Minnesota called Milburn's,
okay,
and they've been in business since 1946. And what's nice about stores like that, they used to be all over the place, changing times,
yeah,
so many stores have come and gone. But when you come to a store like ours, you're going to get the knowledge. And I
yeah,
can't tell you how many times I've had customers come in and say, I went to Macy's or J.C. Penney and there was nobody to help me
yeah,
there. And long and short of it, those companies have changed a lot. They're trying to
yeah,
save money. They don't employ salespeople anymore. They just employ cashiers.
yeah,
So basically, the customer goes in, meanders around, and then they just pay for the stuff. They don't even have tailors there anymore. They just sell pre-hemmed pants
right,
and pre-hemmed coats. So basically, the customer has to buy a size within their parameter.
yeah,
And if they need something shortened or lengthened in the course of the pant, they got to find their own tailor. Whereas a store like ours, we're lucky we have 4 full-time
oh
tailors,
my
two
goodness,
work on pants, two work on
yeah,
coats. So when you purchase a garment from us, a week, 2 weeks later, it comes back. We also work with made to measure clothing. The factory makes it. When the suit comes in, the idea is the only thing we need to do is hem the pant, maybe some other minor nip and tuck. But when you come to a local haberdashery like Milburn's in St. Paul, you're getting an education, especially if you're a first time suit buyer. We have a very diverse age group over the years, from the kid just fresh out of high school and college to the senior executives at 3M
Yeah.
and
Well,
everybody in between.
I wear a pant 3428, and it's very hard to buy those off the rack.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Haberdasher. By the way, if you're watching, Frank comes on every couple months and talks to us about the next season. Right now, we're talking about leaving, fall and winter and going into the spring and summer, and what you should wear, what you should be buying. And I learned a lot actually, the different fabrics that might be a little looser in the summer and cooler. And I'll never wear polyester in the summer because of Frank. Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome. And they come in handy all year round because people need to travel.
Yeah.
If you're going from a place like Boston to Phoenix, well, Phoenix is a lot warmer in December than Boston.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Frank, I could talk to you for hours. We're out of time. Any last thoughts for our viewers?
I said this a couple interviews ago. Just enjoy life. It's been 3 years since the year 2020 when all,
Yeah.
chaos broke loose. Don't take every day for granted. And when change comes, embrace it. I've embraced a little bit of change myself. In a couple of weeks, I'll be moving about 22 miles northeast to White Bear Lake, a suburb of St. Paul. So
Wow.
I'm basically going back to where I grew up. It's going to be
Okay.
nice.
Now we're going into spring now. In a couple months before we get to summer, I want to have you back because I got a lot more questions about this summer wear.
Oh yeah, no, I've got in summer, summer and spring, even though they're similar, they're completely different.
Well, it gets over 100 degrees here for weeks at a time. So, uh, and we're expected to dress in a nice coat and things like that. So we're going to talk about that next time. Thank you, Frank. I really
You're
appreciate you
welcome.
taking the time. Frank Morganti. Do I say it close? Morganti.
Morganti.
Frank Morganti the third. He's a haberdasher. You don't find haberdashers. Harry Truman, our president, was a haberdasher, by the way.
That's true. That's where one of the first terms you heard it. That's how he got
That's right.
started.
All right, Frank. We'll talk to you in a month or so.
All right, take care.
Thanks for your time. We'll be back with more Central Valley Talk right after this.